Forget everything you think you know about the age of dinosaurs. The land-based titans get all the glory, but the true rulers of the late Cretaceous didn't walk on land, they swam. They hunted. They dominated a vast, shallow ocean that once split the entire continent of North America in two, the Western Interior Seaway. And at the very top of its food chain, reigning as the undisputed apex predator, was a creature of almost unbelievable power, the Mosasaurus. Now, let's get one thing straight right away. Mosasaurus was not a dinosaur. It wasn't even closely related. It belonged to a group called Lepidosaurs, which makes its closest living relatives things like monitor lizards and snakes. Imagine a Komodo dragon, but supercharged, scaled up to the size of a school bus, and perfectly engineered for a life in the sea. The largest species we know of, the mighty Mosasaurus hoffmanni, could stretch over 50 feet long. That's longer than a T-Rex and twice the size of a great white shark. For 25 million years, this was the king. So how did a lizard become the master of the ocean? Evolution is a powerful force, and the Mosasaurus is one of its most incredible masterpieces. Its body was a streamlined torpedo of muscle. Its limbs, which once walked on land, had transformed over millions of years into four powerful, paddle-like flippers. These weren't for propulsion, though. They were for steering, for maneuvering with frightening agility through the water. The real engine was its tail. For a long time, scientists thought it had a long, snake-like tail. But recent fossil discoveries, including skin impressions, have revealed something spectacular. The Mosasaurus likely had a shark-like tail fluke, a powerful, crescent-shaped fin at the end. This meant it could generate incredible bursts of speed, ambushing prey from below like a reptilian missile. But the real business end of a Mosasaurus was its head. The skull was a marvel of predatory engineering. It was incredibly robust but also flexible, a feature known as craniokinesis. This allowed its jaws to expand and swing open to an enormous gape, much wider than you'd expect. It could literally unhinge its jaw, a trait shared with its modern snake relatives. And what were those jaws lined with? Teeth, rows upon rows of huge, conical, slightly backward-curving teeth. They weren't designed for slicing or chewing. They were for one thing and one thing only: seizing. Once a Mosasaurus bit down on something, a giant fish, a sea turtle, a massive ammonite with its hard shell, or even another, smaller marine reptile, there was no escape. The backward curve of the teeth ensured that the more the prey struggled, the deeper it was pulled into the gullet. And if that wasn't terrifying enough, it had a secret weapon. A second set of teeth on its palate, the roof of its mouth. These are called pterygoid teeth. So, once the initial bite secured the prey, these inner teeth would ratchet the victim down its throat, inch by inch, ensuring even the largest meals could be swallowed whole. This creature didn't nibble, it engulfed. It was a hydraulic press with a one-way ticket to its stomach. Let's paint a picture of its world. The Western Interior Seaway was a warm, teeming ecosystem full of life. Giant 10-foot-long fish like Xiphachtynus swam in schools. Huge sea turtles with shells the size of a small car paddled lazily. Coiled ammonites, some as wide as a truck tire, drifted through the water column. And above them all, patrolling the sunlit upper layers of the ocean, was the Mosasaurus. It was an ambush predator. It would likely lurk in the deeper, darker waters, its dark skin providing camouflage, looking up at the silhouettes of potential meals against the bright surface. Then, with a few powerful thrusts of its tail, it would launch itself upward. Imagine the sheer force. A 15-ton reptile accelerating toward you from the gloom. For a giant turtle like Archelon, its massive shell would offer little protection. Fossil evidence shows us Mosasaurus bite marks that have punched clean through these thick, bony shells. They weren't just hunting, they were shattering their prey. Even other large predators weren't safe. Smaller mosasaurs, long-necked plesiosaurs, they were all on the menu. We have fossilized stomach contents that prove it. The Mosasaurus was the ultimate cannibal, the king that ate the princes. They were air breathers, of course, just like whales today. They would have had to surface regularly to fill their massive lungs. Imagine being a pterosaur, like a pteranodon, gliding over the sea, dipping down to snatch a fish from the surface. One moment of inattention, and suddenly the water erupts. A head the size of a refrigerator bursts out, jaws agape, and snatches you right out of the sky. Yes, paleontologists believe this absolutely happened. The Mosasaurus's reign was total, extending from the seafloor to the very surface of the water and even slightly above it. For millions of years, this dynasty of sea lizards ruled the planet's oceans. They diversified into dozens of species, each adapted to a specific niche. Some were smaller, faster fish eaters. Others developed blunt, crushing teeth for cracking open shellfish. But the big ones, like Hoffmanni, were the generalist hyperpredators. They were the final, magnificent word in the long evolutionary story of marine reptiles, a story that began hundreds of millions of years earlier. They were bigger, faster, and more powerful than almost anything that had come before. And then it all ended. 66 million years ago, an asteroid 6 miles wide struck the Earth. The impact triggered a global cataclysm. The world was plunged into darkness, ecosystems collapsed, and the food chains crumbled. On land, the dinosaurs perished. And in the sea, the great Mosasaurus, the king with no rivals, starved. Its world vanished from beneath its flippers. The mighty ruler of the Cretaceous seas disappeared forever, leaving only its colossal bones as a testament to its reign. So next time you think of the Cretaceous period, remember to look beyond the land. Because for millions of years, the true king of the planet war scales had flippers and ruled a lost American ocean. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into the ancient seas, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next dive into prehistoric life. See you next time.